Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm again Pacome, Revillon, CEO of Novaspace, used to be known as Euroconsult, international firm primarily working in management and technology consulting, besides organizing certain executive events and bringing market intelligence on global trends in the sector. My first duty is to thank very much APSCC for inviting me, supporting organization of the Roundtable, and organizing again this new edition of the convention. I've been a regular attendee over the years, certainly also a big time of change, and delighted to have APSCC for the first time in Taiwan. So really delighted to be there. So, and congratulations to all the organizations that have been made it happen in the last few months. Just before getting into the topic, and I think maybe rebounding on what Terry and Mrs. Chen introduced in their initial speeches, it's fair to say we are at a time of global transformation in the sector. I had the opportunity to talk about it just a few weeks ago, but keep it extremely short, just highlighting 2-3 numbers. We are talking about hundreds of satellites not so long ago. We are now talking about approximately 10,000 objects, operating objects around Earth, delivering services, communication, remote sensing, other type of services. And we're even talking about maybe 30,000 objects by the end of this decade, and maybe more over time, obviously driven by some mega constellations, but beyond that, by a broader variety of objects in the skies that will deliver different services. Next to it, and it's part of the topic for this year, sovereignty. So it's now over 100 countries actively investing in space on an annual basis, certainly a lot of them here in the Asia-Pacific region. And we estimate that maybe not last year, but this year or next, it's approximately 150 billion that will be invested in the space domain. And with obviously security-related aspects, a significant driver of the increase in spending. And then coming even closer to part of the focus of the session, in connectivity only, we used to talk about gigabit per second. On a global scale, we're talking maybe about 13 terabit per second delivered to users around the world at the moment. And we're certainly anticipating maybe a tenfold increase in the next 10 years at least. But obviously at the same time, the economics is more maybe about a 20% growth, as it's a complete transformation of the models, the services, the deliveries, and with the new growth more than offsetting traditional businesses, but all of this having to adapt. So that's for my introduction items. The most important for me is certainly to hand over to our distinguished panelist of this morning. So as you could see off the screen, and I will keep extremely short, so to my left, delighted to welcome this morning Mark Rigolle, CEO of ABS, Daniel Kim, Vice President and Head of Global and Maritime Business Group for JSAT, Shimizu, General Manager, Asia Regional Headquarters for Sky Perfect JSAT, Anggoro, Widiawan, CTO of Telkom, and Parisuthi, Jinamornphongs, who I shall call Tom, certainly for the session, VP Strategy and Business Development for THAICOM. So before getting into some discussion topics, would still like to invite each of you to make a short introduction of your respective organization, as there's quite a diversity of activity represented here, and to share some first thoughts on where this industry is going. Mark, the floor is yours.
Yep, thanks, Pacome. So ABS is maybe the odd one out in the sense that we are thoroughly independent. We are not belonging to a government. We are not a national flag carrier. So we call ourselves the Switzerland of the satellite industry. We do business with everyone. Everyone can do business with us, and we have no bias towards or away from any particular country. Obviously, we abide by all the international rules and laws, but apart from that, we're able to do business in an agile fashion, which is part of our name.
Thank you. And just to mention for the audience, your coverage is pretty global at the moment, or very much international, so you have some roots certainly here in Asia.
Absolutely. So, I mean, the company was founded in Asia, and that's what the A used to stand for before we rebranded a few years ago. So absolutely, we have near global coverage. We often get put together with a group of regional operators, but I like to think we're the smallest global operator.
Sounds good. We'll come back to some of the trends attached. Daniel, JSAT.
Probably everybody knows KTSat is Seoul and national satellite operator of South Korea. And it's an affiliated company of Korea Telecom, which is the largest telecom group in Korea. We certainly currently have 6 satellites in operation at this moment. Not only across South Korea, we are delivering our service of more than 20 countries worldwide. And despite, our main focus on actually strong foundation comes from stable revenue generation in defense and military sector in South Korea, and enable us to actively expand our market footprint to global and maritime business area. Despite some challenges these days and rapidly challenging environment and very competitive situation at this moment, but we still maintain our revenue growth could be one of the few regional operators have a steady growth, and we expect about 6% around increased revenue this year also. A good shape, and we are working on several projects and multi-orbit our own platform solution, and we will have a new next generation satellite launched and targeted launch in 2027 with KoreaSat 9. Will provide more affordable connectivity over in Asia.
Thank you, and I'm sure we'll come back to how to build those new growth avenues to keep the companies growing. So, Yo, please.
Hi, I'm Yo Shimizu from JSAT. Actually, I was assigned this position this July. Until then, I was taking care of the US market for 5 years, based in the Washington, D.C. And before that, I was also taking care of the Asian market, but almost 10 years ago. So, but the atmosphere is still the same. So I really recall that at the time the business memory. And JSAT is known as one of the largest satellite operator in Asia. But now I can say one of the largest space solution service providers. JSAT is operating the 17 geo satellites right now. However, as you recognize, JSAT is doing the business diversification. And then now the Earth observation business is a really big business pillar for JSAT. And then this diversification is always looking at sovereign capability and also the how we can address to the demand from the really important customer from Japan, including government. But of course, this kind of experience can be utilized for the market in the Asian Pacific area. Since our business base is from the Indian Ocean region towards the U.S. CONUS area. We'd like to be more open for the collaboration. That's a brief introduction from me.
Thanks a lot for those introductory remarks. Anggoro, please.
Yes, I'm Anggoro Widiawan. I'm in here standing officially as a chairman of Indonesian Satellite Association, as well as CTO and CTO, Chief of Development Officer of Telkomsat. As a chairman of ASI, Indonesia is operating 8 satellites currently, including S-band by Indo MCI, and also including the successful recent launch of MP2 satellites, HTS, by Telkomsat and in 2024. As well as SNL by PSN just this year. As for Telkomsat, we manage 5 geo satellites, including 2 HTS KU band satellite. One of them is partnership with APT. Our focus in the short term, actually, and we need to focus quickly, actually, to maximize our existing capacity in a way so that we can get secure return out of it. In the meantime, we are preparing and exploring the next systems, including NGSO. Also shifting our initiatives into applications and customer-oriented solutions. So the key, the way forward that we see is sizing correctly, adaptively, and to scale. Yeah. I think we need to realize also in our side that technology is deflationary. I think that's all.
Thank you. And Tom for THAICOM.
Yes, hi. Again, my name is Tom. I represent THAICOM. So THAICOM is a regional satellite operator from Thailand, not to be confused with Taiwan. So we have been in the business, satellite business, for over 30 years. We initially got started off with broadband satellite, broadcast satellite, and 20 years ago, we pioneered the world's first broadband high-throughput satellite, namely IP-STAR, and we have presence all over Asia Pacific. Recently, we have diversified into Earth observation and also focus on national resilience and defense. In the recent milestones, THAICOM, in terms of satellite, we're deploying 2 satellite assets in the next couple of years, namely THAICOM 9, which is coming up next year, and THAICOM 10, which will be a large software-defined satellite over 120 gigabits of capacity. So we will have huge software-defined satellites coming up. We have recently also secured financing, $184 million from BPI France, Deutsche Bank, and Standard Charter. So that's in terms of satellite progress. We're also advancing in terms of national defense, where we provide Satcom on the move. In terms of national sovereignty, we're protecting our border. We have recent conflicts between Thai-Cambodia border. So we're securing that and providing the service along with our sister company, AIS. And in terms of environmental sustainability, we're focused on ESG and providing Earth observation to do air control, pollution control, and also doing carbon sequestration monitoring. So those are the fronts that THAICOM's been working on. Thank you.
Thanks so much for those introductions. And before I forget, shall I remind of the Slido app? So I think we'll be open for questions from many of you toward the end of the session at least. So feel free to just scan it and then we'll welcome the questions for sure a bit later. So coming to some of the business dynamics and maybe starting a bit more with the connectivity part, and we'll go to the diversification and others. Well, I mentioned about it, certainly no question it's a big time of change. There is that environment with NGSO constellations, the geo service, the various frequency bands, the geographies, some vertical integration. So maybe a few words on what you see at some of the dynamics, how to try to maintain the business or transform the business or to look for niche opportunities. So how to navigate in that environment. And I know we'll have a session later about multi-orbit and everything, but maybe what's your view on how to play at the regional operator and maybe build, rebuild, or change the plan to keep the business going? So some of your thoughts around connectivity dynamics, especially here in the region, but also welcoming global trends as you see them.
Yep. I think we as satellite people shouldn't be too proud, in a sense, in the sense that I don't think there's another sector that has destroyed so much value over the past 10, 15, 20 years. If you look at the amount of investments that have been done by definitely the larger operators, and the returns they've been earning on that, it doesn't look very good. It really does not look very good. So it's not something to be proud of. And so at ABS, we've been scratching our heads thinking about, okay, so how can we try and become more capital light, and what is the problem in the sector? And I think one of the things that we can definitely work on collectively, but ABS is, I hope, spearheading that, is how we go to market. The way in which we sell our services in this sector is pretty ancient or medieval. I mean, you meet someone at a conference and you sell some stuff, whereas most people actually, most sectors have a platform like Amazon to sell across and so on. So the world has moved on, and our industry is sort of stuck in the Middle Ages. So I think that's something we collectively need to work on and do a lot better. And that's one of the key points in our new strategy at ABS.
Thank you.
Probably I'll share some key drivers in our target market. I think maybe three categories for KTSAT. One is convergent technology. Second is sovereignty mission partner. And third is affordable service provider. So first of all, in the competition with the LEO services, we see some of the replacement, or they are replacing somehow the existing traditional geo demand at this moment. But we still also see some new opportunity emerging in particular area. For example, small vessels and land mobility and air mobility, which were very difficult, fully served with geo type of services before in the past due to some of the technical and commercial constraint in the before. And at the same time, we see with this LEO huge capacity, the customer is trying to use more application, new application that was being properly used in the past. Now they are trying to introduce their more, solution and more traffic for their communication at this moment. So I think beyond this connectivity itself, this is something little bit offsetting the negative impact from LEO competition. Second is we would like to become a sovereignty mission partner in Korea. So our main focus still remain in the government defense sector, which rather than having capacity supply only, we trying to deliver our value to the government and defense side, having support the national level kind of engagement that enable our country, nation, strengthen their autonomy and security at this moment. Third one is affordability for us. We are preparing a new project which will be launched in 2027. Very cheap and cost-effective solution with one venture, small set manufacturer. So maybe the success of this program will rely on three factors. One is affordability, pricing to ensure very cost-effective cost. Second is localization to tailor a solution to the local demand. And third one, probably we see strong partnership with the local player to enhance the execution of the project. This will be probably our main focus at this moment.
So you see yourself more and more as a solution integrator, bringing together the several capabilities together. Yeah,
and for the domestic market, we're trying to, see more value added. Yeah. But at the same time, the overseas market and global market, we need to compete against the other player with the very affordable services, right?
Yeah. No question about it.
Yes. Of course, our current core business is still the geostationary telecommunication satellite business, but always the customer prefer the combination of the telecommunication platform, such as LEO and MEO maybe due to the some, resiliency securement. So of course, the March orbit is in a kind of the differentiation way. However, it would take some more time to be successful. And then, also geostationary satellites are, a part of the, asset. However, the coming SDS, software-defined satellites, and combining the more flexible ground system can, support the such March orbit system. LEO only LEO, only MEO, only GEO. It's not enough to support the such a resiliency demand and more flexibility demand. So I think the current our effort is doing already such a effort partnering with partnering with the players who are having the same vision to create this kind of a March orbit system.
Okay, I think based on our observation in Indonesia, and in Indonesia we have around 20 players, 2 satellite operators commercially, and the rest is all of us are service operators, satellite service operator, service provider, which means that customer understanding the customer is the key. And given the supply or the new technologies coming in, certainly the changes needs to, for us, is to understand the customer orientation. And then we observe that in Indonesia, for instance, the consumer market is getting away from geo communication side, but on the government and also in the defense side, we are still strong because it's unique for that. So what I would like to take in here is that as a satellite operator, and Indonesia is an open country, we trying to strengthen our understanding on the end of the customer, the really end of the customer. So with that, we come out with certain play that the other big players don't play in Indonesia. I think that's what we are doing right now.
Thank you, Tom.
So lastly, in terms of the satellite economics, there's definitely disruptive forces coming along. We definitely feel it. And we see that there needs to be a change in economics. Satellite manufacturers need to work with ground systems in order to enhance and make the economics right. At THAICOM, we see ourselves as a neutral partner within Asia. As a regional operator, we're able to still provide sovereign connectivity through partnerships, through many operators in different countries. So we see that there's still collaboration that can still be worked, and we can provide national sovereign connectivity as well as bespoke SLA to our partners. So we would like to continue working on that front.
Thank you. So if I try to think of quite the same roundtable, let's give it 10 years ago, as I'm old enough to talk about it. 10 years ago, it would have been, okay, what's about the broadcast market and some universal access here in Asia? That was very much the focus of most of the operators for very good reasons before all the changes within. So now, if I heard correctly, also since the start of the discussion, I did not count, but quite a few times about remote sensing as a diversification area, and the other certainly very much about sovereignty to defense security, let's say, aspects. And it looks very much that, especially for some new programs or new projects, the sovereignty, defense, security is to represent a good part of the future encore demand, somehow replacing what the role that maybe broadcast was playing 10 years ago, in at least from an investment and forward-looking aspect. So certainly happy to hear from you about how you see or where you stand in that transformation journey to address those several aspects. The remote sensing, maybe on the one side, the defense and security. These are still very different type of project, a different client, I assume, different type of skills you need to internalize or develop. So what's your approach to that diversification of the business? Is it all organic investment? Is it acquisition or strategic partnership? How to best serve government for the sovereignty part on those whatever traditional frequency bands, other frequency bands they need to use, terminals, projects, programs. And remote sensing is obviously all about data collection, solution development, analytics, everything you may need to deliver information products. So as regional operator on that new path, maybe what's your view at the investment strategy in those two domains and where you consider you are staying on that path? So maybe starting with you, Tom, as we can come back from.
Yes, on that front, in terms of national security, we focus on deploying or serving our military and our government in terms of Satcoms as well as Earth observations. There's definitely demands there when we need to tighten security within Thailand itself. So I think in that front, we need to work with partners, different, whether it's ground system, Satcom on the move, different type of terminals, in terms of satellite, maybe provide national satellite bespoke for the National Army. And in terms of border security, provide Earth observation, and we need partnerships in that as well to build the downstream solution and digital platform that we need to create.
And so is it about also recruitment, capability building, or dedicated investment you make to, part of those activities or remote sensing, for example, is something that was pretty new or not in-house for many years. So what's your way to build those capabilities internally for what you need to master with the partners, obviously, and ecosystems that you will?
I think in that, I see that it's a co-creation. So when I say partnership, I mean, we need to develop the solutions together. A lot of the things is new to us as well. So we cannot build internally ourselves. And in order to catch up and in order to provide the correct solution, I think we need that partnership, to develop the new ecosystem with our partners.
Thank you. Anggoro, from the Indonesian perspective.
Okay. In Indonesia, security and sovereignty is very important, and it provides us with it requires us to give some solutions. And in terms of the way forward, actually, I would like to share some observations. Normally, we look at the industry separately, satellite industry and mobile industry. Actually, now mobile industry and satellite industry is colliding and converging at the same time. So mobile operators welcoming satellite, and then the satellite operators coming into the mobile operators. We have already feel that. So that's the reason why we very much 80% our investment in trying to understand the different requirement in the end customer sides. It's all segments, government, defense segments, as well as the enterprise, as well as the consumers. So with that, actually, this is the play for AI, which helped us, assisted us to formulate adaptive strategy and changes in the dynamic that is going to go fast also. So that's one thing we need to understand in the cross industry. We know that 5G and 6G is coming very quickly, but 5G and 6G, the reason why it's my observation, I think, is because before 5G, the mobile industry is gaining the market coming from consumers. Now 5G is trying to get the growth story in their industry, expanding from consumer-oriented systems into enterprise compatible systems, 5G and 6G. And 5G is going from normally broadband people to connecting devices, IoT kind of thing. And we see that also for the 6G is connecting intelligence, which means that Earth observations, as you already remarked, is very important for Indonesia, especially in our company. Both PS and also Telkomsat were overseeing this Earth observation, intelligence kind of related solutions to the end users. So we try to develop our capabilities, balancing partly partnership and also partly trying to develop internal capabilities. That's all.
Thank you. And obviously turning to Japan, there was quite some maturity and also relationship with security and defense for some years. Still, I mean, even being there, I think on the defense side, it's also about capacity building, creating space commands, not necessarily mastering all type of satellite technologies with a stream of innovation. So how also to build that dialogue, or what the role that the satellite companies can play in working with the government to maybe co-create or support the requirements that they will have in the future. But
Yeah, I think a few years ago, the Japanese government issued a special national security initiative. That's kind of the government document to envision the, also the customer side shows the diversification of the space capability. And then they are also showing the lineup of the, a lot of, space assets, capability, and from GEO to LEO. And also the, application level also, it's also diversified. And then the, JSAT has been operating this, some of the government important satellite assets as well. And then we started the Earth observation business almost 10 years ago. It's a very small start, just a reseller partnership with a Planet Lab. And then after that, we decided to start the operation of the ground station in Japan for the LEO constellation Earth observation. And after that, we acquire further additional ground stations from our collaboration partner for supporting the remote sensing satellite operation furthermore. And step by step, we increased our capability for the remote sensing area. And then in parallel, the government expands the budget for the acquisition of the remote sensing data imagery. And now, this February, we announced we decided to purchase the 10 electro-optical Earth observation satellites from US partner. This step-by-step approach, always it's synchronizing the government vision. And then we have been seeing we have expected the actually Space National Security Initiative, actually before issuing this kind of the document. And I mean, we should collaborate what parts we can assist from the commercial side, and what parts should be, or provided dedicated by the government side. So I think that this kind of the load split will be really important. No, only government can not work entire vision. So like this, we have been communicating and try to seek for where the area from the commercial partner can contribute.
And I think the same will happen in domains like space situational awareness and other aspects of the space activity down the road, even for commercial operators. But coming back to you, Daniel, as well.
We also, diversification, we also have been developing some business model beyond the connectivity service into the Earth observation space data business since 2022. Probably Jason might be quite much ahead to us, but we have about 7 partnerships already and trying to have a business reference with some of the successful story at this moment. Even if the business size of this space data in our company very small at this moment, but I guess this is the fastest growing model in our company. Every year, double, growth they have. And they have a successful story to supply. So we are trying to not only supplying satellite image, but trying to kind of process AI-based, data-driven solution to our end customer. So, for example, we have a successful story, kind of water pipeline leakage detection solution to our government side, for the maybe local government, kind of ground deformation analysis solution, flood damage assessment management solution to local government and government as well. Navy and Coast Guard, we provide kind of maritime infrastructure monitoring system as well. But we see the majority of the requirement in Korea is from a government side at this moment, but we see this significant growth in private sector, expanded growth by private sector. For example, recently we have a collaboration with a partner, one domestic agricultural machinery manufacturer who wants to develop with us to kind of precise an agricultural solution that analyze kind of soil and crop condition, which is enable farmer to apply proper fertilizer and pest control and water only as needed. So this kind of all things we're trying to have a reference business model even before to our own technology. But at this moment we need more partners. So we have about 7 partners, so analytics and everything. Once this come true, and we will be move forward more effort on this area. So probably strategy investments is one of our options. We're seeing some of the good companies to acquire, like a JSAT as well. So we step by step we move forward on another one. This is a meaningful movement shift from connectivity to kind of sensing and analytic different story for satellite operators.
And certainly you need multiple partners for multiple sensors and capabilities and analytics and so forth. Agriculture always different. Worlds have to be local because of the parcels, the cultures, the weather and everything. So it's always requires some tailored aspects. And Mark, from your standpoint as well. So obviously sovereignty is a global requirement with different flavors of it in the countries where you may operate. So what's, as well as the opportunities there, development that you see?
Yep, so I mentioned Switzerland, we're neutral, and so that allows us to sell into markets as a neutral partner, so it opens opportunities. We're squarely focused on communication, so we're not diversifying, not planning to diversify into Earth observation, sensing, whatever. We think for GEO there's a bright future in continuing to do what we've always done, but maybe in a different way. And I've been at the company now a year and a half, so coming in, obviously you take stock of what are the assets that this company has. And one of them is unsold capacity, so you sell more of what you have. That's pretty obvious. But then other assets that this particular company has, and I think the colleagues as well, are orbital positions. And so we are in dialogue with sovereign nations, not just to sell capacity that we have to them, but also to co-develop a national satellite for certain nations from orbital positions that we have using our filings. So, so that's the two-pronged strategy that we're pursuing at the moment.
Okay, be a Swiss knife, so to say, with regards to geo operations. Obviously, the satellite business is very much and more software defined, so it may be symbolic to have the convention this year in Taiwan somehow. So we talk about software defined. You mentioned already about AI several times. So it's also how to embrace innovation, which is always a challenge. You have some long-term infrastructure or assets. You have to bring innovation on board. And I think you may as well need to work with partners. So innovation maybe on board the systems, very much on the ground segment, in the software to support operations, and obviously in remote sensing and everywhere where you need data analytics or operations analytics, even with IoT. So with your position or ambition as satellite operators, and certainly also leading space companies in your respective countries, so how on the one side you embrace or invest innovation internally, but also what you see as your role of working with partners who are themselves developing the different pieces in the ecosystem to make the services or the solutions that you need happen. So maybe interested in having your perspective on that innovation, how to just leverage what exists and that's the best and you may pick the best, but also maybe how even in your country you may contribute to working with some startups or partners to contribute to that innovation path. So AI innovation software defines what you see as your role as satellite operator or how you can play in this, in those dynamics, please. Yep.
I like the way you framed the question in the sense that there's technology in space and then there's how you use it, how you go to market, how you sell, how you interact with your customers and so on. So we don't have grand plans to go with Airbus or Boeing or whoever develop a new satellite that's going to cost 500 million to get into orbit and will be 3 years late, as some of our larger peers have done or are still trying to do. But there's a hell of a lot of innovation that can happen on the ground, how we operate, how we interact with customers, how we sell, and that's squarely our focus. There's a hell of a lot that this very old-fashioned industry can learn from other sectors in how we do our business and how we take our service to market. And that's where we should be focused on, we think.
Thank you. And I saw the Slido questions are popping up. So maybe your quick comments on innovation, and then we'll go to the questions from the audience.
Well, maybe
sure.
The agenda is AI, these days.
Yep.
I think AI is not just a trend, but it's kind of very practical tool for satellite operator for operational efficiency and service innovation wise. And we also trying to have something innovation in our operation efficiency and control center. We have developed our own LLM-based operational assistance system at this moment to improve our staff to quickly access to complex commands and maybe respond promptly, effectively to the anomalies. So I think this is a key to improve our knowledge standard and as well as training effectiveness for employees at this moment. This is part of our innovation at this moment. Maybe further, but I just want to hand over to the mic.
Like Danny mentioned, I think for the 5G NTN part, we are cooperating for, it's taking a long time for the successful achievement of the 5G NTN network. So I think definitely we work together with the partner, and also AI, especially for the remote sensing AI capability. Everybody wants to jump in this kind of the business, but once jump into this kind of the business, we need to anyway, address with some agile attitude to address the customer's response, customer's request. Always customer's request is adding the request, so we need to address. So probably this kind of the Earth observation or AI analysis capability, each company has their own capability. So we should work more collaborative attitude, with a more collaborative attitude to make the more scalable Earth observation AI applicable area.
Okay. Innovation is a must for us to answer the need for the customer. And as the customer needs is wise. That's the reason why we focus on the application side. And instead of focusing on the space innovations, let the upstream innovations available for us. We right now, given the capacity that's already available in Indonesia, now we very much focus on the how to utilize. So which means that we are welcoming partners in innovating the ground systems and the systems that can effectively and efficiently deliver to the customers. As I mentioned to you, correctly and target meaningfully and correctly size to the customer need. With that, I think we agree because we can still play whether we have our geo or we will have some added value like Earth observations availability and as well as IoT coverage across Indonesia. So those are the area where the current big players is not reaching that. But it will take, but they are going to come there. So this is the right time for us to focus on the ground system to deliver right solutions to the customer.
So in terms of innovation and capability, firstly, internally, I think the most important thing is we're building our capability internally. So we're hiring mostly, Gen Z, most in this room, no offense, maybe X or Y. We're mostly working with a lot of new generation, Gen Z, building that capacity, who have capability in AI, ML. Also, we have to be agile and develop ourselves and also internally develop new business model to address our customers' needs. And also, lastly, to build strategic partnerships and with cloud and also analytics provider. I think that's the most important thing.
Thank you. And I see that time is already flying, but I will definitely turn on the question. So I could spend almost an entire session talking about mega constellation and everything, but not mentioning SpaceX. So it's in the first question, so it will come. But maybe more specifically than just SpaceX, or it could be Kuiper being developed, or several additional programs, also including from China. So just your thoughts on, well, the mega constellation aspects, but also second question is quite interesting on the sovereign LEO programs, whether that's an option in the future, something to explore at least, whether it's still a matter of cost, but obviously we see government budgets rising. So on those constellations from the pure commercial, but also option to see sovereign LEO programs, maybe in your thoughts in what, 20 seconds each, I believe is what we have, or 30, so.
So starting for me, I think the big question to ask is also whether certain LEO disruptive players can be neutral and also be a sovereign player. So sovereign means that you own your telecom, your gateway, be able to control and not be able to be influenced by any political forces.
Okay, but a country like Thailand having a sovereign LEO constellation, maybe not now, maybe someday in the future, still some work to do for make it happen someday.
Yeah, I believe in LEO, owning LEO constellation, it could be a collaboration, could be, a bunch of satellite companies, a consortium getting together and collaborating, sharing those assets.
Okay, thanks. Anggoro, your view, Indonesia, a LEO sovereign constellation, yes, no, maybe someday?
Yes. So it is yes, and it is need to be yes. So how to make it yes?
Okay.
The way we answer the question is to pass through the path. So I think we need to find a way to do that. And the key in here for all of us in the industry is embracing harmony. If we fight each other, we will have nothing. Right. But of course, we need to find a way to make it happen.
Thank you.
of course, sometimes the customer requests, just a starting type of the solution. Yeah, we will address this kind of a solution. But always we are trying to provide more secure, high SLA type of the service in terms of the Satcom, in terms of the observation. So this kind of lead to the situation we can address to the demand for such a sovereign demand from the customer.
Yeah, we have discussion in Korea. K-LEO constellation is already there, and DARPA is released RFI to the several operators at this moment, and they are having various options on the table at this moment. We also KTCL are part of it. Maybe it will be divided by some of the phases. At the beginning, they have to invite global player to off-the-shelf use at the beginning, but as second phase probably they would like have some collaboration with the partners, or collaboration with nations sometime, or independent constellation, I guess. But I think in Asia specifically, it's very difficult to have fully independent LEO constellation due to the huge capex expenditure at this moment. It's not efficient, right?
Sure.
So maybe some alliance nations together with neighboring countries like Japan and Korea, we may have common, collaboration and same platform, and maybe share a ground station and share some of the spectrum and some technical standard share. Yeah. So I think a collaboration is the one key, probably in Asia specifically, and a sustainable path to moving forward.
Cooperation, yes, potentially.
Maybe just to add one thing that hasn't been mentioned, because I agree with everything that was said, obviously. Doesn't matter how big your country is, if you need, or you think you need a sovereign LEO constellation, you'll cover the globe, or most of it, by design, from LEO. So that opens a great opportunity for an operator like us, which is neutral, to go sell the capacity that's outside of your jurisdiction, outside of your country, to people globally. And that's where being small, global, neutral is going to pay dividends to a company like ABS.
Yeah, such program would have to be an ecosystem, so to say, to build. Okay, I'm pretty bad moderator being late already for this first roundtable. So my duty is still to thank you very much for sharing your insights this morning. Thanks a lot to all of you.
Thank you, Pacome, and thank you, panelists, for such a wonderful panel.